Hi, I'm Kim McLaughlin, and I'm here with Rachel Moger, and Rachel has this great website and information, and I'm so excited for you to meet her today. So, hi Rachel, and can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
I can. First, I have to say thank you for inviting me here. Kim's place is absolutely beautiful, so if you haven't been here yet, you just have to see where she practices. It's lovely. And I'm excited to talk with you.
Yes.
So I don't know if I've ever shared with you my story. I'm not a nutritional counselor. My background in understanding food and cooking goes way back to when I was a latchkey kid. So I don't know about your upbringing, but for me, it was a single mom situation, and she was rarely home. So she left my sister, who's 5 years older, in charge. And at that time, I'm talking between 5 and 9, really young when I started cooking. She would leave recipes. And they were full-blown recipes. I'm talking like how to make meatloaf from scratch, or beef stroganoff, or how to cook a whole chicken, because we were on a budget. So you buy things whole. And my mother would leave these recipes, and my sister would always say, "It's your turn to cook." So I loved it. She didn't at that time. And so I really felt comfortable being in the kitchen from following my mama's recipes, and started to be creative and just exploring with flavor and food, and really loved it. And that worked well with me as I grew up. And then in college, busy, everybody gets busy, wasn't eating so well. In fact, I dealt with weight issues, dealt with eating very little food, starving myself, just doing really stupid things and not getting anywhere with it, and realizing my health just went down. Constantly in the hospital. Not good. So I thought, something has to change. Well, then I met my husband, who was a chiropractor, and he just really influenced our family. Started, you're married, you have a busy practice, start having kids. I was busy, and I had to realize that even though he was putting pressure on me to eat healthy, and it bothered me a bit, because I'm like, I'm a good cook, everybody likes my cooking, what's wrong with you? Well, he wanted me to start cooking with healthier ingredients. And so my experience comes from that whole thing of learning how to cook healthy and make it flavorful, be in and out of the kitchen fast, because I'm busy, I've got my family, I've got my business, but have it something that's enjoyable for everybody's palate. So I went through that process. He asked me to teach cooking classes for his practice, and that was about 10 years ago. So I've been teaching cooking classes ever since.
Excellent. I just so you all know, I met Rachel a while ago, and I loved her story about spices and tasty food. And what I hear consistently from people that I work with is that when people who have been overeating, emotional eating, binge eating on lots of diets, there's this kind of food that we've been eating over the years that kind of, I won't say the names, but those frozen meals that don't taste too tasty, and or at least until you start eating well, you don't know that they don't taste tasty. Right. So what I wondered from you, with your experience with cooking and teaching people cooking, is could you give us some tips about how people could introduce satisfying food, tasty food into their lives?
Absolutely. Well, one of the things that you have to realize is those products that we won't name, they're geared towards calorie counting. And I really don't like calorie counting or dieting. I think there's enough food on this planet that's been created for us to enjoy and eat, that if you know how to properly spice them up, you can have a phenomenal array of flavors and colors and interesting textures in your mouth, which make eating enjoyable. You can look at things like, the big thing is packaged foods. They're prepared and packaged with a great deal of science behind them to make you want them and crave them and want to enjoy them more. Now, they're not necessarily nutrition. That's the problem. They're not necessarily loaded with the things that your body needs to absorb in order to feel satisfied. So be very careful, even with those packages that maybe are geared towards helping you lose weight. They're not necessarily the best nutrition for your body, and so you may end up eating more because your body's just not satisfied. So my first advice is always read those labels.
Oh, first. Okay, so read the labels to see what's actually in it.
Yes, and reading labels is what got me into my next thing, which was I have my own organic spice line. So even just using spices, you still have to read labels and see what is in there. There's generally anti-caking agents, food colors, additives, fillers, things that are put in there to make it look like it's a good product, but it's really not nourishing your body. So definitely I'm huge on reading labels.
What would you say people should look for if they're wanting to move out of using packaged foods that they should look at on the label and go, that's probably not a good thing to have in my food?
There's a whole bunch of foods. Now, I realize sometimes it's hard to get from that. Especially, I totally get it if you've been living in a fast-paced world like I have. I've experienced that. It's easy to find something off the shelf and just, put it in the freezer, put it in the fridge, and you pull it out when you get home, and shazam, stick it in the microwave, and you've got something to eat. But you do have to be mindful about what that is, like we said. So here's an example of the difference between a packaged food and not. Let's say you're buying some kind of packaged pasta that's got a low calorie count, or maybe it's something that's been pre-planned on this diet plan that you can have. Well, if you look calories, for example, calorie for calorie, eating a whole food, say like broccoli, that's so much more nutrient rich for you, good for your heart, good for your skin, good for your nerve system, everything like that. You can eat 16 cups of broccoli versus 1 cup of cooked pasta. So whereas some of these prepackaged meals may have certain portions and everything measured out, when you're eating more whole foods, things that have lots of high fiber content and maybe high, really good healthy fats in it, then you can eat a lot more and feel more satisfied for longer periods of time because your body is like, oh, thank you. That was food.
Sure, but
I hear food like
but what I wonder is I hear people groaning right now saying, okay, Rachel, but that's broccoli.
Oh,
broccoli is broccoli. What do you, if we're looking for something tasty, what might some things we might start thinking of to start making these things tasty?
Okay,
not the broccoli, well.
I can take you there, but I have to say, first of all, I love broccoli. I'm sorry, and I have lots of amazing recipes for broccoli.
Okay.
Things like we talked about seasoning. You wouldn't believe what putting a little, real lemon pepper. I'm talking lemon and pepper, not lemon-like product on your food. Lemon pepper and garlic and maybe some whole natural butter onto something just can really spruce anything up. But if you're looking for other things to, let's say you long for some comfort foods, and maybe someone has said, okay, spaghetti and lasagna probably aren't on your list, but you like them and they make you feel full and satisfied, and they give you that feeling of, I just had something really yummy. Well, there's no reason why you can't use something like spaghetti squash instead of spaghetti, which, by the way, is really cool if you've not ever seen it. It's a little squash. You poke some holes in it, you put it in the oven, and you bake it for about an hour. Pop it open, rake out the seeds, and then you rake it with a fork, and it comes apart like spaghetti. Have you ever had spaghetti squash?
I have had spaghetti squash.
So you can put any type of topping over that. Or maybe you're craving lasagna, like we said. Well, why not try using butternut squash instead of, lasagna noodles? That's a great way to add in nutrition and also keep that satisfying, warm comfort foods that we all love to eat. So I'm all about trying to just be mindful of the food that we are putting into our bodies and making sure that it's feeding us and not just satisfying us for the moment, because then what happens later is you have a crash, and then all of a sudden you're ravenously hungry, and then that's when we kind of lose control. At least I do.
Yes.
So
we understand that. That's great. Those are some great tips. And so what I wanted to also know is if we're a lot of us are really busy, moving around, lots of things to do every day, that we've really gotten away from time to cook, and when it's nutritious means I've got to put a lot of effort in. It means that, I can't use a box or I can't use something frozen. What's your ideas? Because you're a mom of kids, and so what are some ideas you have about how to make something tasty for a meal, given we have a quick-paced world?
Okay, totally get that, and I'm totally there with you. So there's several different things that you can do. There's a couple tips that I love. My first big tip is meal planning. If you're prepared and you figure out ahead of time what you're going to be making, you can make more of it and plan to have that in different ways throughout the week. That works really huge for me. I have a family of 5, so I don't want to be in the kitchen all the time. I utilize my time that while I'm in the kitchen, I'm also helping the kids with their homework and things like that, so I'm multitasking while I'm there for sure. But I'm always pre-planning, how can I make this work? So here's an example. Okay, busy weekday, and let's say it's Thursday, and I come home and I'm out of ideas, forgot to take the chicken out of the freezer, and everybody's hungry, and I've had a long day. I don't know what to do. Did you know you can take frozen chicken breast, for example, out of your freezer and boil it in about 20 minutes and have something that you can make into something wonderful? You can even stick it on the barbecue, for that matter. Fresh from the freezer, right?
Wow.
A lot of people don't know little tips like that. But let's take the boiling chicken, for example.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, or you can just boil chicken. It comes out nice and moist. I mean, super moist. So I take this frozen breast of chicken, plop it in boiling water. It comes back to a boil, and it boils for about 15 minutes. It's done. What do? I take that out. Now, I could choose to boil 7 pieces instead of only 2 or 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now I can take that chicken, I can shred it, maybe throw a little taco seasoning over it, one that doesn't have corn fillers and anti-kicking agents and artificial colors, right? Throw some taco seasoning over it, and shazam, I've got, tacos for the night. Little tip is, maybe I want to use lettuce cups instead of tortillas, just kind of throwing in some health tips. My kids sometimes prefer that over tortilla. But anyway, okay, so we shredded the taco, we made tacos, or shredded the chicken meat, we're going to make some tacos. What if I made extra taco meat? And then the next night, I could have enchilada soup. Or maybe I boiled a few extra pieces of chicken, and now I have that in my refrigerator, and next day I'm going to have chicken salad. Maybe I'm going to chop it up and make a chicken curry. So if you just think just a couple steps ahead, sometimes you don't even have to have it all planned out. Just know, okay, I'm going to make a little extra of this, and I'll figure out something to do with it later, and then make that work throughout the week.
Thank you. That's a super tip. I'm those are
Gonna
takeaways
use that
for
one.
me. I actually am going to use that. That's a takeaway for me.
Good.
So we're coming to an end and wrapping up, and I just want to say thank you, Rachel, for coming to my office, talking with us. Really super tips. I'm so excited. Can you let everybody know where they can find you at? And we'll put a link at the end of this video so they can contact you also.
Absolutely. So I have a website, and it's www.rachelmoger.com, so you can reach me there. And also, when you're on my website, if you leave your email, I will be in contact with you on a weekly basis. I have these free weekly cooking tips that I love to send out. If you're interested in spices, because I know Kim's tried my spices and is really excited about the idea of quickly spicing up food, you could check out the Spice Club on my website. And that's where you also get videos, so you get instruction of how to actually chop and cook and do it in your kitchen, filmed in my kitchen, and recipes that go along with a monthly selection of a spice. So you don't have that spice that sits in the cupboard forever and turns into dirt and you never use it. So that's a really good resource. So rachelmoger.com, you can check me out there.
Excellent. Thank you, and thank you all for showing up. Bye-bye.
Bye.